Hi, and welcome to a very special AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris. Joining me today is Tshepo Machethe. Tshepo is the founder of Oreflow in Africa, and we're going to be talking about the impact of AI in the Afrikaans nations. Hi, Tshepo, and welcome to AI in 5. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Simon. Pleased to see you again.
Now, look, you and I have met up through AFOD, and we were together in Bangkok, and we
Yeah,
were talking about what's going on in the Afrikaans nation. And I was reading the other day that across the next 6 or so years, it's likely that the Afrikaans will equate to, nearly half of the world's population. So
yeah. I mean, that's
with all of that labor, what's the impact
hmm.
of AI?
Well, I think it's closer to more in the next century that Africa's population will be close to half of the global population. But what that means in the age of AI is that workforce advantage won't apply to manual labor if we're smart about it, right? We should be applying it to specialized skills rather than wanting to be half of the population doing all the mining manually and all the agriculture manually. We should be half of the population directing the technology, the robotics, the AI that
Mm.
executes those tasks for us. That's my view of Africa in the future.
Do you think that means that there will be, like everybody's worried about a massive job loss because
Yeah.
robotics does everything? Or are you saying that just this field is going to create new, different jobs to what they have today?
I think the idea of jobs is something we shouldn't hold onto so tightly because it's such a modern concept.
Mm.
The idea of jobs. Let's not think that the era of jobs will exist forever, nor should we try to hold on to it. What we should be striving for is for the means for people to take care of themselves, right? So if you have robotics creating the means for your how you feed yourself and how you clothe yourself and your security in your home, um, yes, those jobs go away, but so does the convenience that those robotics produce at a cheaper cost. So there's different ways that we can look at targeting
Yeah,
these sorts of benefits.
I've got to say we've got wharf workers here in Australia that have asked that
Yeah,
if their company gets into AI, that they only work 4 days a week but still paid for five. Personally, I would love that as an outcome across the world if all
in
of
a
us had more
perfect
time
world,
to barbecue and talk and do all that sort of stuff.
for sure, to be human, right? To be
Yeah.
human, that's what we
I
need
mean,
more time to
and
do.
the other side of the whole, population shift is
Yeah,
the majority then of human generated content, be that
yeah,
through books, through research, through online, whatever, is going to be
yeah.
coming from the Afrikaans nations, and yet you guys are massively underrepresented in current models or in economic benefit from those, right?
And there lies the opportunity. So the African story has yet to be told by Africans themselves. There's this old adage, I actually learned it from One Piece, which is my favorite anime, which says the history will only ever be told by the victor of the war. And in recent history, African nations have not really won the wars of colonialism, etc. So all the history that exists of Africa is mostly written through the eyes of the colonial powers that took over our continent. But now that we live in an age of freedom, democracy, and self-expression, I think now you'll start to see the African story show through much, much more. I mean, the first example was the movies such as Black Panther, and they'll keep coming out more and more. And I'm excited to see what that'll look like, African generated content. And I hope we don't leave it to AI to tell those stories. Our job is to teach AI how to interpret the dialects of the past very accurately, and then told correct that story as it's narrated. Write it ourselves. Have AI help us edit it. Help have AI help us generate the video content, the animations, the narration, etc. But the story itself, I really think humans should really hold on to the arts as tightly as possible. It's crucially important.
Yeah. I've just if ever there was a case for sovereignty in AI, and you and I have talked a lot
Yeah,
about this, if ever
yeah,
there
quite
was
a
a
bit.
case, it has to be that, why is any part of Africa using some model built by the tech bros in Silicon Valley that understand nothing about Africa at all, like can barely point to it on a
Yeah,
map, you know?
yeah. Look, I, again, to the defense of those using those tools, right? You have to start somewhere before
Yes.
you perfect it. Right? At least learn how the tools work before you make it yourself. So, the University of Cape Town in South Africa has recently developed its own LLM that is self-taught and modeled around local languages here
Mm.
um, and local contexts above outside narratives. That is helpful. But for them to get there, obviously they had to prod around and see what Anthropic is doing, what you
I
know
do. I do.
what
Look,
Notebook and
we're
other.
right at time already, believe it or not. But I love to ask everybody the same question, and that is,
Yeah,
what would be your one bit of advice for a company just starting their AI journey? Like, what should they be doing? What should they be thinking about?
they should be playing with all sorts of AI. They should be playing with any relevant tool that they're going to use in their journey of building their company.
Right?
Play with it. There's free versions, there's limited capped versions. Play with them, figure out what their strengths are, and only start committing to paid versions once you know actually what you're going to be using this for.
What
But yeah, play around in the
fantastic
beginning.
advice. Fantastic
Yeah.
advice. Tshepo, thank you so much for being a part of AI in
Thank you
5.
so much, Simon. Thank you so much, Simon. I love your show.